Probably not going to be too heavy.
Once we were in Iraq, it went extremely fast. As soon as we get to the safe house, we got to go through the security plan for the safe house. And it was actually kind of funny because we're hearing detonations from IEDs and bombs going off in the background.
Have 3 safe havens en route. 1, 2, 3.
That night, we got Robert and the team in. We gave them all their briefings. There's a lot that goes into keeping folks protected in these type of environments. I literally think it's PhD level work. You know, we run a whole 24/7 operations center there. We're bringing in the current intelligence reports. We have several ways of bringing in the intelligence. We call it all source intelligence. That can be from the media. That can be from our contacts in the military, from the police.
This is city. We don't use it. We don't go there.
Every intelligence report that comes in with a threat, whether it's an IED, suicide bomber, sniper, whatever, they can put that on the map. So when the team that's going to execute this, they're looking at the current intel situation on the spot. Some of the technology we use out there is all of our vehicles, along with our precious cargo, have a GPS beacon that we are monitoring so we can see where each of our vehicles are in real time, 24/7, along with our precious cargo. If we lose communications or an incident happens, we immediately move to that safe haven.
This is a safe haven?
A safe haven could be a Iraqi police station, Iraqi army base. It could be a friend's house. It could be the U.S. Embassy if need be. It's a place that we know we could get to. If we needed to, we could defend from if need be. And we know that there's people there that we could trust if we need their help.
We cannot stop there.
Everything else fails. You get the precious cargo to a safe place. We protect him. He'll be the lone survivor.
You tell no.
If something happens, stay in your car. You know, just let the guys do their thing. We'll push out of there. We'll get out of the site. And then we'll get accountability for everyone. And then we'll make an assessment from there.
Disappear from the exile with less time.
That first night, Robert spent a lot of time up on the roof.
You know, he sat up on the roof for several hours underneath the moon. And Robert didn't say a word.
We got up on day 2, and even though there were some threats during the evening, you know, we came out, we gave Robert a quick dump about what was going on, but I did not let Robert know about some of the apprehension the guys were having. The Shia pilgrimage was going on. That is a key time for enemy threats to happen.
I thought, it's really happening. This is real. I'm actually here. And I was so excited.
Imagine a morning swim right on the
Baghdad to where Mike died near Yusufia is about 15 to 20 miles. But the trip was more difficult than I could imagine.
We leave the villa, the first thing we're looking for is make sure no one's following us. We're always looking for different ways to get in and get out. There are certain areas that are tight spots. You know, when you're traveling through the cities, people call them danger zones. We know we get to a point where if we get stopped there, it could be dangerous. So when we come up to those danger zones, we start reacting a little bit differently until we can break out on the highway, start moving at greater speeds. The IDs, you know, is still a very critical threat over there. You know, you can be traveling at 80 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour. A new technique out there is kind of like a sticky bomb type of thing, where they have an ID, they're able to slap on a vehicle and set that thing off. So now, when you're stuck in traffic, you're watching pedestrians that are coming through, literally conducting 360-degree security all the time. Next thing we're looking for are dead animals on the side of the road, mounds, wires for those IEDs that could be down the side of the road. And then the third thing we're starting to now look for is that certain areas that are off the beaten path, the insurgency will set up snap checkpoints, and they'll do a ruse to make you think it's a police checkpoint and then literally attack you. We had 16 Tiger Swan personnel involved in this operation from beginning to end. So we had 4 armored vehicles, 1 with Robert in them. We have 1 as a decoy vehicle also being driven, and we have a lead and a trail vehicle also. We also have another vehicle that's out in front, 5 to 10 miles, that are giving us intelligence reports about what's going on. We also have a medic with us, and then back at our villa in our Joint Operations Center, we have 2 watchkeepers or 2 operation officers that are monitoring our beacons up on the imagery up on the wall. We have another team back at the villa that are prepared as a quick reaction force. So if something happens to us, they can move quickly.
So as we were making our approach into Yusufia, the stress level it increased dramatically.
The Iraqi army was given intelligence reports that it was a suicide bomber. They felt it was going to try to disrupt the Shia pilgrimage that was moving through Muhammadiyah at that time. As we turned off the main highway into Yusufia, our lead guy turned to me and said, "Hey boss, they know we're here." They were getting talk on the radio that the Iraqi insurgency knew that there was another element, us, trying to come into Yusufia and not just the Iraqi army.
It got a little scary once we realized that they knew we were there, and we knew that there was a legitimate threat on our safety.
Put your camera away.
Then we started running into Iraqi army checkpoints that, because of the local violence that was going on that morning, they started diverting us back to a main road.
And I gotta tell you, Mr. Stokely, he knew exactly where we were at all times.
About the 30 grid mark.
Mr. Stokely has been looking at that on Google Earth, on different maps and terrain models for 5 years.
So we should be, 6, 7, 8 miles to the east of Yusufia?
Yeah.
Yep.
He knew every alley, every street. He was dedicated to getting in there, and he was relentless. He wanted to make sure that we found that route. If that alley wasn't available, it was now blocked. We tried a different route.
Just before you get to the first grid line crossing west-east, 59603.
He was the one directing us. His intimate knowledge of that landscape without ever being there was amazing.
We were trying to come in by the side routes, what we thought would be unmonitored, but then it fell apart. After trying to get into the site by different routes, and as it looked like we were about to get through, it came unraveled.
As we approached the gates of Yusufia, the Iraqi army had a checkpoint set up. We were stopped. The Iraqi captain, he did not want to commit to having Americans going in there. If something happened to him, what could happen? And as a former Army commander and Army officer, I understood that completely and knew it was a valid reason. And so I made the call to pull out and go back. I got my lead guy, said, "Hey, is there another way we can get in? Can we go north and then go west and come back around?" And they said, "Hey, no way. This road is covered with IEDs, and we're going to put ourselves at big risk." So that's when I ended the mission.
I mean, at that point, I've traveled literally 10,000 miles, and I'm a mile and a half away, and I'm almost there.
I think I saw heartbreak in its purest, unadulterated form for the first time in my life. Heartbreak of such intensity that it makes you physically ill.
I was so sick on my stomach and so heartbroken, I started crying.
He bent over, started dry heaving. Just the emotions were coming out of him. Boy, it was tough.
And I'd never